The four most dangerous words in investing are, "This time it's different." Sir John Templeton said that. He also turned $10,000 into $700 million. So maybe we should listen. Here's what's actually happening right now. 90% of people will work 40 years, retire with almost nothing, and wonder what went wrong. And the brutal answer? They were playing checkers. In a chess game. They weren't stupid. They weren't lazy. They just never learned the rules of the game. And the people who wrote those rules? They were betting you never would. Let me take you back to 1972. America is riding high. The stock market had these darlings called the Nifty 50, Polaroid, Xerox, Avon products. These were the can't-lose stocks of their era. Everyone, your barber, your uncle, your dentist, was piling in. Price-to-earnings ratios hit 65 times earnings. For context, a normal ratio is around 15 to 17 times. These stocks were priced like they'd grow forever. You know what happened next? The 1973 oil crisis hit. The market dropped 45%. Polaroid lost 90% of its value. Avon, down 86%. The can't-lose stocks lost big. Now fast forward to today. Replace Polaroid with Nvidia. Replace Xerox with Microsoft. Replace Avon with Meta. We now have the Magnificent Seven: Apple, Microsoft, Nvidia, Amazon, Alphabet, Meta, and Tesla. These 7 companies alone account for 33% of the entire S&P 500. 7 stocks, 1/3 of America's entire stock market. We have seen this movie before. Here's where it gets uncomfortable. The S&P 500's current price-to-earnings ratio is sitting around 29 times earnings. The historical average? 16 times. That means stocks are roughly 80% more expensive than their long-run norm. Nvidia alone, the AI darling, traded at over 60 times earnings at its peak. Sound familiar? But here's the twist nobody's talking about at your dinner table. The bottom 50% of Americans own just 1% of all stocks. The top 10%? They own 93%. So when the news says, "The market is up," they're mostly reporting on how rich people's portfolios are doing. The other 90% of people? They're funding their retirement with a savings account paying 0.5% interest, while inflation quietly runs at 3 to 4% per year. That's not saving. That's a slow leak. You're losing purchasing power while feeling financially responsible. And the debt picture? American credit card debt just crossed $1.17 trillion for the first time in history. The average household carries $10,000 in credit card debt at an interest rate of around 22%. Meanwhile, Wall Street is borrowing money at 5% and investing the difference. They are literally using your savings deposits to fund their wealth building. This isn't a conspiracy theory. This is just how the plumbing works. And most people never look at the pipes. So what does this mean for you, sitting here right now? It means the game has a gap in it. And the gap is financial illiteracy. Here's what the 10% understand that the 90% don't. Rule number 1. Inflation is a tax on cash hoarders. Keeping $50,000 in a 0.5% savings account means you're losing roughly $1,500 to $2,000 of purchasing power every single year. The money sits still. The world gets more expensive, you fall behind. Rule number 2. Compounding is either your best friend or your worst enemy. At 22% interest, a $5,000 credit card balance doubles in about 3.5 years. At 10% returns, the S&P 500's historical average, that same $5,000 invested doubles in about 7 years. Same math, completely different direction. The broke stay broke because compounding is working against them. The wealthy build wealth because compounding is working for them. Rule number 3. Risk management beats stock picking every single time. Nobody, and I mean nobody, consistently predicts the market. Not hedge funds. Not analysts in $5,000 suits. The average actively managed fund underperforms a basic index fund over a 10-year period. The secret isn't finding the next Nvidia. The secret is not blowing up when you're wrong. Diversification. Dollar cost averaging. Not panicking in February when everything turns red. That's it. That's the whole game. Look, I'm not here to tell you the market's going to crash tomorrow, and I'm not here to tell you we're heading to all-time highs forever. Anyone who tells you they know for certain, they're either lying to you or lying to themselves. What I can tell you is this. The Nifty 50 taught us that even great companies can be terrible investments at the wrong price. The wealth gap data tells us that the system is not designed to hand you a win. And history tells us that the people who came out ahead weren't the smartest in the room. They were the most disciplined. They invested consistently. They didn't panic sell. They understood the rules of a game most people don't even know they're playing. The market doesn't care about your feelings. It doesn't care about your bills. It doesn't care about your 5-year plan. But here's the thing. Neither does staying broke. So you have a choice. Learn the game. Or keep funding someone else's retirement.